Well, awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to be able to do it. I mean, as someone who's played with some of my favorite bands and favorite musicians, it's great to be able to talk about this great sophomore album from your work with 13, with Running Games coming out February 12th through Frontiers Music. I just really love the direction that you guys are going in this time around, and just hearing all the guests that you have, the whole band together. It feels like something that we can really use here in 2021.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it to see the light of day.
Absolutely. And, especially with the last year that we've had too, and so many albums having to get pushed back or delayed indefinitely, I'm glad that this was still able to come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a strange way, the whole COVID situation helped get it done because, I mean, it was in progress already and all the songs were fully written. So they're not COVID songs per se, but a lot of the tracking got done and the mixing all got done during this. So it did help get it done.
Oh, that's definitely one benefit that can come from this. And, it's great to be able to see that happened too. And the way the world works right now, the fact that you don't even have to be in the same room as everybody else, and you're able to get things together and be able to work together and make a very killer album.
Yeah, I mean, that's really been the norm for a while now. I feel like most people have been doing the file sharing method when it comes to making an album, and I've been a fan of it for a while too. I think it's good. It allows people to work in their own headspace and not surrounded by other people. So as somebody who does a lot of sessions for people, I can tell you that's when I give people my best takes. So I stand up for this stuff all the time. There's people all the time saying like, oh man, it's better to all be in the room together. It's like, maybe on a level, but at the same time, there's also something better about this because everybody plays at their very best when they're all alone with no pressure on per se. And you'll do 10 million takes to get the right one. So without feeling self-conscious about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, as long as you can get the right sounds, the right tones that you're looking for, and you can pull off the take that you're looking for. I mean, being able to record at home at your own leisure and being able to just have yourself to worry about and send the files, I mean, it does alleviate so much pressure.
Definitely, without a doubt.
Awesome. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing for Running Games?
Well, easy, because I think this time I knew, all right, having the same personnel, so now that I know Dying to Live, I kind of found what it was as I was writing it, and then I felt like this time around I knew exactly what the formula is now for the project, and that's, the melodic hard rock, Dio-ish at its heaviest, and Foreigner-ish at its lightest, so I pretty much just tried to stick to those rules with what I was doing with this and maybe focus it a little bit more this time around.
Oh, yeah, and that's definitely one thing I would say about the album. I mean, it does feel very cohesive. Not to say that the first album was anything not cohesive, but the fact that this album from like start to finish, I mean, it feels like all these songs were meant to be together, and it does feel like it was written for this album. I mean, it really makes it fun to listen to from start to finish.
Cool. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem. And, again, with everything that has been going on within the last year or so, and the fact that everyone was able to contribute their parts to the album and get the album out there sooner, and being able to record it from home or their own studios, or if they know somebody, I mean, it's great to see that everyone else was able to contribute the way they needed to as well.
Yeah, Vinny got some slam and drum sounds at home, and he was done pre-COVID, and Tony Franklin as well. It was really the rest of us that did all this in the COVID lockdown stage, whatever we're talking about, all this stuff as nowadays. So anyway, yeah, everybody got good tones at home. I feel like people nowadays, it's the norm. So you got to be able to get a good sound in your own environment.
Yeah, and thinking about that as well too. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of work and effort that goes into making your own home studio and make sure that you got the right equipment, the right gear, the right sounds that you're looking for. Like, how is your studio? Like, are you still working on it? Do you have it the way that you want it to be? How is that?
That's a very sore subject, man. I live in New York City. I live in an apartment, so I'm extremely space compromised, and so not great. Far more depressing than you'd ever possibly imagine. But I just kind of I'm able to make do with what I have, and basically I just did a lot. Like I just went DI with everything on this, and then the mix engineer Chris Collier just used a lot of neural DSP stuff plugins on my guitar sound. So I think 4 different amps combined. So that's what we rolled with. And so far I've been getting lots of compliments on the guitar sound, which is fantastic. But yeah, there's definitely no like Marshall cabinets or big heads happening in my apartment.
As someone who lives in an apartment myself, I completely understand that, and especially being a drummer as well on my end, it's pretty much impossible without an electric set or a keyboard to be able to do any kind of recording of drums, so I totally get that.
Yeah, so you understand.
Yeah, but, you know, again, I mean, that shows the real power of what it takes, like, in front of the gear, and also being able to have the right production and the right sound engineering and the right mixing and mastering, because you add all of that combined, and it really does feel like it was made in a full studio rather than just being able to trade files like that. And a lot of that does come down to finding those right tones. I mean, being able to get the right combination of amps together to create the guitar sound that you got throughout this. I mean, unless you told me, I wouldn't have guessed that you had it done that way.
Yeah, I mean, I printed a modeling unit that I have as well. So I did print that, but I also just ran that clean DI, and I think the mix engineer went with that. So yeah, I mean, I've had lots of compliments on the guitar stuff on it so far. So that's great. I mean, people seem to dig it, and in the end, that's definitely that's the name of the game for me, man. I make these for the listeners, man. You know, I mean, they're very much about the songs. It's not so much about me try to prove anything on guitar. There's not like a ton of long solos or fancy solos. It's really just like a lot about, for me, like making a good solid rock record.
Oh, and that's what I love so much about a record like this and what you do in your style, is because you do focus that much attention on the songwriting rather than like doing like fretboard Olympics and just like showing how many notes you can play in a bar. You're making sure that every single note that you play is played there for a reason. It's there for the song, and you know, whether it's a vocal melody, whether it's a drum fill, whatever's going on in there, everything feels like it's meant to be a part of the song rather than just showing off.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's such a beautiful thing. I mean, especially when you are doing your own solo work. I mean, there can be that temptation to be able to show off everything that you can do and put those kind of solos in there. But, you know, it shows a lot of maturity when you are doing your own solo work and you still want to be able to focus on writing songs that people are going to be able to enjoy. Like, and if live shows ever come back, songs that they would want to be able to hear live and be able to go back and listen to over and over again.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. Well, yeah, I like I said, I approach these from the standpoint of like, what would I have wanted to listen to on a rock record like this back in the day? Not going from a standpoint of thinking about it from being a guitar player. I'm thinking about it like, all right, if I put this on, so if for there, you know, always goes down to the song and the vocal and all that stuff's really important.
Oh, very much so. So thinking about that as well too, I mean, you did mention that a lot of work for the album was done pre-COVID, and just filling out the rest to be able to make sure that the album was going to be done. On your end, was there like anything in particular that, because you had the time with COVID, that you wanted to change? Like, was there anything about like the songs in particular or anything like that on your end that you wanted to change?
No, I mean, I'm happy with the album. So it's always hard when you finish it up. You're so close to it and have heard it too many times. So it's like looking at a painting you did from an inch away from it. You have no idea what it looks like. So, my main hope is at this point in time is that it's well received, obviously. You know, you don't want to like get done doing all this work. You put it out and people all say, oh, this sucks. So, I mean, that's my goal at this point in time is to have people say this doesn't suck. How about that? There's some clickbait for you right there.
Oh, it totally works. But what I meant by that also as well is like before COVID, if there was like anything in the songs that you felt like you needed extra time to be able to figure out, and because of COVID, you were able to figure those parts out.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it allowed me to just, I think, outside of being like, oh, I'm going to be home for this week or whatever. I mean, things were crazy there for me. I mean, 2019, I was on the road 285 days out of the year. So, it just allowed me a stretch to do this carefree. Like, all right, I basically did rhythms for one song a night, and then I did leads for one song a night every night, because I have little kids at home too, so I'm wearing the dad hat the bulk of the day, and then it was pretty much like, they go to bed at 8 o'clock or whatever, and then it's like, okay, time to start doing music. So pretty much every night from whatever, say 9 o'clock till 1 a.m, I'd hit something and just continued that for it was. That was like 3-4 weeks of work really for the guitars, because 13 songs.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, between doing rhythms one night for a song, there's almost 2 weeks, and then obviously then hit leads every night.
Oh, it totally makes sense. And yeah, I mean, it's great to be able to see that, despite a lot of bad things that are going on in the world right now from last year and still continuing on this year, I mean, it's great to know that you are at home, you're able to be with your kids, you're still able to write and record music, do the guest spots, whatever you need to do. I mean, the fact that you're able to do all of that from home and have that situation, I mean, it's great to see that.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, all things considered, man, things could be so much worse right now for me. I mean, I'm still super, super busy, doing sessions and teaching and cameos and, the quarantine jams and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm really, really busy. I really don't have any free time between it all. So that's the hard thing. It's almost harder right now, because on the road, you do get free time. You get days to burn where you're like, I get the whole day off, man. Just hang out all day. And so, I mean, right now, those days are hard to come by.
Oh, yeah, I can absolutely imagine so. And yeah, I mean, the fact that you are able to take on so much more when you are at home too, I mean, that's also a great thing to be able to see too. I mean, I always appreciate when you are working with other bands, other musicians, and you just do these great different spots. I mean, whether you're doing something more melodic, something poppier, something heavier, I mean, being able to see that versatility that you continue to be able to show off into 2021 and going forward. I mean, again, like being able to do that from home and still being able to show off all the sides of what you can do. I mean, it's hard to ask for more.
Trying, man. Trying my best, I mean, that's all we can do, right? I mean, with anything that we do in life. So I'm just trying to do my best at every turn, and this is certainly a challenging time. I mean, one of these interviews, they were asking, when's the last time I've gone 10 months without playing on a stage? And I was like, you have to go back to, I was probably 14 years old or something, right? I mean, before I was really gigging. Which is kind of insane to think about. So it's really been like, 36 years since there's been something like this. I'm like, haven't been on a stage at all. But I'm doing fine, all things considered. I mean, I feel like, my ego gets its massage from releasing music and putting out these quarantine videos and things like that. I still feel somewhat relevant, and writing with people a lot right now, and all that stuff still makes me feel really happy. I definitely miss the performing thing. I miss touring a lot. I mean, getting out and getting paid to see the world and playing for thousands of people is not such a bad life. It's pretty tough to beat that.
Oh, absolutely. And with the caliber of musicians that you do work with, whether it just be on record or in that live setting, I mean, being able to have so many people being able to back you and you being able to back them and creating such amazing music in that live setting and on record, I mean, it shows a lot about the caliber that you continue to show off, because, whether it's someone newer, whether it's someone that has more of the classic sound or whatever the case is, I mean, anytime that you show yourself for a song, I mean, you do find a way to be able to make it so much better with your presence.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, man. I mean, I'm just trying to do the best I can at every turn with any of these things, anything opportunity I get with music. And then I just follow what opens up for me, man, where life takes me, right? So you just try and do great at everything. I don't have a very narrow scope in terms of like, hey, this is the band I want. When people ask me like, who are the people that you want to play with? I'm like, I don't think that way. I just, I want to play with everybody and then see what opens up and grows from there. That's the way in terms of my mindset. And that's why I've ended up in all these places that I never thought I'd be in, like, playing a Rock of Ages, right? A Broadway gig. And I was definitely not 11 years old sitting with my guitar playing Black Sabbath going, someday I'm going to be on Broadway, but that show changed my life, man. Six years of balancing that with Night Ranger and TSO took me from struggling guitar player to guy with money in the bank and multiple gigs and people knew who I was. And Cher, same kind of deal, man. I mean, I was not sitting around playing AC/DC going, someday I'm going to play with Cher. But having the opportunity to step out and work with an iconic performer like her and work with all her great musicians, I mean, these are blessings that you just can't really foresee. And when they come your way, it's just something that you try and cherish and go like, wow, see, there's the proof that you just work hard at everything. And then sometimes you get these things that you never would have even thought of.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's just so important too for a musician's development, and especially in creativity, when you are able to work in so many different genres of music, work with so many different talents, and being able to learn so many different things. I mean, when you were sitting at home playing Black Sabbath and AC/DC, and then, later on you're working on TSO, you're working on Cher, and, it's just like not stuff that you were necessarily working on back in the day, but the fact that you were able to learn something from those experiences and bring them forward to that position and vice versa. I mean, the more that you can really show off your collaborative efforts and continue to work on different styles with different people, you're only going to grow as a musician.
Yeah, absolutely, man. The more, I try and stay real world with how I'm improving. So the more gigs and opportunities I can get to actually play music, not just like, practice scales to a metronome, for me is what I'm looking for. The opportunity to kind of improve in the real sense as a musician and see where that takes me.
Oh, totally. And going back to what you were talking about before briefly, the fact that you are doing lessons from home and being able to do them online. I mean, when you are teaching young guitarists to be able to learn either chord progression or how to write riffs or more technical abilities, like, what is your main focus to be able to teach these guitarists? Like, what do you want to show them most?
I mean, I try and get them the systems and actually have them understand what it is they're doing. There's lots of people that have a lot of gray areas on guitar in terms of understanding the systems and understanding how the guitar neck works, my favorite thing is where people have these moments where they go, oh, and it's all starting to click. I'm really starting to see this and I'm seeing that. And it's like, awesome. That's what we're going for, So just seeing people improve is fun, and people that are motivated about it. It doesn't always have for me to do with how advanced a student is. It's more or less like how much they're improving. So sometimes the ones that are beginners can be lots of fun. If they're super inspired and they're kicking ass and moving forward, it's great.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I did spend several years the same way, being able to teach drums. And, just seeing someone, whether they're picking up the sticks for the first time or they've been playing for a long time, I mean, being able to see them learn something new, something that they want to be able to try out and get better and have that basic understanding of, like, how to play a beat, how to make, like, fills work and what doesn't work, and, just being able to show off your style of playing, too. When you see that growth happening for them from the first lesson to the X lesson, I mean, it's so rewarding to be able to see that growth happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's when you're teaching, you really, for me, I actually hope that I'm teaching. It's not just like, all right, let me just, show up and play for them for 45 minutes and show off or whatever. I mean, I'm really actually hoping to improve everybody. So, and there's lots of resources out there to do that. So I try and give them also what I can give them, not what they're going to get from every teacher out there or from YouTube or something like that. So I try to keep that in mind as well.
Oh yeah, and that is so important too. I mean, especially with someone with your back catalog and your advancements of how you can write songs and your instrumentation and everything that you do. I mean, when you can get like personal one-on-one with them and being able to show off a different side rather than just like a basic instructional video or just some live clips on YouTube or whatever the case is, when you can really work with them and answer their questions and being able to show them and being able to work work back and forth like that. I mean, it's a great touch to really be able to work with someone who can connect with you.
Yeah, the one-on-one thing is great. I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy actually getting to know everybody and not having it be, yeah, like you said, like it's just a one-directional thing where you're watching a video that's teaching you or something. It's interesting to be able to bounce things off each other and ask questions. Yeah.
Oh, totally. So, thinking about that as well, too, I mean, I definitely had it in my case when I was teaching drums, and I'm curious if it was the same for you. Like, is there anything that, like, stands out to you from, like, what you've learned from being able to teach students on the guitar?
Is there anything that stands out from that? I mean, I've been able to make theory click for a lot of people, and I think that's really fun. I mean, this is really my first dive back into doing it full time in a long time. I was teaching 70 students a week from, I would say, 1993 through 2000, right? So 7-8 years, and then pretty much like barely ever taught because I became a professional performer and just like wasn't really teaching. And now that COVID has hit, I was like, you know what, I can fall back on that, and that's going to be actually a lot of fun now because I haven't been doing it. And so now I feel like I'm a better teacher now than I was back then, and I'm cranking out people that are like just doing amazing right now. I feel like I'm going to create this army of people that are going to take all my gigs, man. Because I've been able to move so many people forward in this time. It's fun.
Oh, absolutely. And again, like I've mentioned before, I mean, the fact that you are able to do that here in 2021, being able to use that technology and being able to do this all from home, being able to teach all these students about the guitar, being musical theory, whatever the case is, and still being able to be your professional musician self as well, too. I mean, whether it's releasing this new album from 13, whether it's any guest appearances or other albums that you're going to be working on in the future, and hopefully one day being able to start working on the live songs again and get ready for those live shows. I mean, the fact that you're in that environment right now and you're being able to do all of that, it's just incredible to see that you can keep your chops up, teach others how to be able to get their chops going, and keep being musical.
Yeah, it keeps my guitar in my hands and keeps me making a living with it. Anything where I can keep improving and be able to just keep moving forward and be productive, man. I mean, that at the end of the day, that's how I got where I got. That's the only method I really know, is to kind of just scratch and claw and, like, no matter what, just keep moving forward. So I'm definitely not one of the guys who's just like laying low and not working, going, well, just waiting for touring to start again. It's like, oh man, come on. There's so many things we can get done right now. So that's my mindset right now. In fact, I'm basically looking at it. You're the first interviewer to say if live music ever restarts. That's how I look at it. I look at it like, man, don't count your chickens before they're hatched here, man. We don't know what's coming right now. So that's how I look at it. And that way, if and when we do go back, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I'm definitely not counting on it. I'm not just going, so when that happens, because that's a mistake right now, man. Nobody knows what's ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember that from last year. I mean, there were so many theories about it. Oh, it's going to be over in May. Oh, it's going to be over in the summer. It's going to be over by October, November. And, we're still in the midst of it. So you never truly know. And I know a lot of people, having such hardships. And when you relate that into the musical world, there are so many live musicians that are just laying about that really don't know what to do. But someone like yourself that has always been able to adapt to all these different kinds of situations, you're making the most out of that, and I just find that to be so inspiring, and I hope others can learn from that too. I mean, whether they're able to teach, whether they're able to do guest spots, whether they're able to write their own music, or just goof around on their particular instrument, like just being able to find some way to be able to grow and keep going with your musical development is so important.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, man. Just consistency and moving forward. My big thing is being productive every day. That's my main thing.
Oh, and it's such a great thing to be able to see that as well. So, thinking about that as well too, I mean, obviously again, with Running Games coming out February 12th through Frontiers Music, and you mentioned yourself, like, being able to work on other projects. Is there anything that's coming down the pipeline that you can talk about, or is everything under wraps right now?
I mean, I just turned in the riffs to Michael Sweet for that project with Nathan James, so Michael Sweet, Nathan James, and I guess the rhythm section is Tommy Aldridge and Marco Mendoza too. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. I basically signed on to do a project with Michael and Nathan, so having Tommy and Marco on board is a surprise and fun. We'll see what becomes of that. So I just turned in the guitarist for that, and co-writing with my friend Jim Peterick for an album he's producing. And I do have a cool quarantine video coming up. There's a shred video, a compilation video I'm a part of coming out in a few days. And then, of course, we'll have another single from Running Games, and that'll be out February 12th. And so, people can just look forward to me just continuing to release stuff one way or another. One way or another, I'm just going to keep getting stuff out into the world and moving forward.
Oh, I love the sound of that, and there's so much to be looking forward to with what you just mentioned there, and of course, myself being lucky enough to be able to check out Running Games so far, I love what you've done with this album. I just love the cohesiveness. I love being able to see the boundaries that's going on within the band, whether it gets more melodic, whether it gets heavier, whether it's poppier or more mainstream, whatever the case is, all the songs just work together so very well, and it's great to see that this album is coming out February 12th through Frontiers Music, and everything that you got going now, like being able to teach, being able to continue work, being able to send tracks back and forth, all these great things that you're able to do. And in the midst of all that, the fact that you were able to take all this time to be able to talk to me about everything that you got going on in your world, I'm deeply honored with that, and I thank you so much for your time.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out, and thanks for your kind words about the album and everything, and hopefully we can do it again sometime, man.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime that you got something to promote, I would love to be able to catch up with you again. I feel like there's so much more territory that we can cover. I really love the way this went.
All right, yeah, me too, bro. Thanks so much.
Oh, not a problem. You have a great rest of the night.
You too, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.